Okay, this is going to be a comparison video of the first edition of the New King James Premier Collection from Thomas Nelson with the second edition brown. So we've got the first edition black goatskin, second edition brown goatskin cover, and I just thought it'd be neat to look at these two together. And you can see right off the bat that aside from their cover differences, they also have a different set of ribbons here. So with the older model, it looks like we had two black and one red. And what's interesting about that is these are just single-sided satin, so a sheen on one side, and they are just straight cut. Whereas the second edition, you can see those are angle cut, and they are also double-sided satin. They have a sheen on both sides. So the ribbons, I would say, have a nicer look to them. Not necessarily nicer quality. They're really similar quality, but just overall maybe a nicer look to these new ones, in my opinion. Now, before we look a little more at those Bibles themselves, just looking at these boxes here, if you saw the two boxes, it would be hard to tell a difference because most of the information is exactly the same, but you can see here on the bottom left-hand corner that one is black, and if you want to see the ISBN for that, there it is, and then one is brown. But we're not so interested in the box comparison. We want to do a Bible comparison. So a lot of people have pointed out these differences, but it's neat to see what they're like in person, and they are really a similar size. I mean, they're pretty much the same Bible as far as the text block and the size, so not much different there. But the black goatskin is very smooth. It is soft, kind of a squishy feel to it, and it's perimeter stitched, and very floppy. Kind of a floppy feeling Bible. So if you like a floppy Bible, I think the Omega ESVs are a lot like that too, from what I've heard. So almost like a soft cover feel to it. You can roll it up and just has a nice floppy feel to it. So if you like floppy, that black goatskin is really good. This has a firmer feel to it, this brown goatskin. So it is still soft, but it just isn't quite so floppy. It's still very flexible, but it's firmer. And for a Bible this size, because it's a pretty decent size, I think you're close to 9 3/4 inches tall there. So whenever you have a Bible that's that long, it's kind of nice to have a firmer cover, in my opinion. Just gives it a little extra sturdiness when you're holding it. So another difference would be the spines, and in the original first edition here you have these tooled hubs that are gold stamped, whereas you can see on the newer one you have the raised hubs. So really similar. I mean, they have such a similar look to them in terms of the spacing of everything and the font, but different style with these raised hubs. The inside is really going to be the same thing. Let's look at these pages here in Proverbs, and as you can see, we are looking at really the same pagination. These are really the same Bibles on the inside. The paper on this one maybe looks a little bit more opaque, maybe a little bit less show through. Very hard to tell though, very similar. So I'm not saying this is hands down noticeably better, but I would say maybe a little less show through on this. And I would say the feel between the two, this one, this older one has a little more texture to the paper, and this on the left feels a little bit smoother. Not a whole lot different. I think as I feel this, and I feel this, they're really similar. They're the same GSM paper, 36 GSM, so that's not really any different. The red underneath is the same on both, not very pronounced, but it is there. They both have a gold gilt line going around the edge, so that looks good. That's pretty much all I can say as far as comparing these two, but if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know in the comments what you'd like to know about these two Bibles. And again, we're looking at the first edition Black Premier Collection NKJV and the brown second edition Premier Collection NKJV. So thank you so much for watching a look at these Bibles from a Frisch perspective.